let's please welcome Bill Pollock, Program Manager of the Alameda County Household Hazardous Waste Program, and his talk on medication disposal in Alameda County and the Safe Medication Disposal Ordinance.
Thanks. So, I don't know if anybody remembers, last year I was here and I went way long and I cut off, so I tried to make this shorter. So, there are lots of places to buy drugs in Alameda County. There are probably 300 places, 200 pharmacies, including Kaiser's and places like that. Hospitals, clinics, veterinary clinics, not very many places to get rid of them. And these are all government run or government funded sites. They're funded by public money. This started about 10 or 12 years ago by wastewater agencies looking to get rid of flush disposal and trying to find ways of doing that, getting around that. Social service and senior groups were also looking at the same time to reduce the rate of accidental poisonings and teen drug abuse from prescription drugs. So all these three different directions came together to form this disposal infrastructure, and on a shoestring budget pay for this. This is what it looks like in Alameda County, and if you notice, there's nothing here except for my household hazardous waste facility. It's poorly distributed. It relies on voluntary hosts. We've had people come to us with money wanting to find a site to do it. We couldn't find a site to do it. We've had sites in other areas come to us and saying, I'd like to host one, but we couldn't identify a source of money. This is no way to run a program. This is what some of the sites look like. Eden Hospital, one of our most popular ones. Some of the sites we put together, we recruited some sites and then had to adopt them out to local agencies to fund them. Eden Hospital is run by Castro Valley Sanitary District. Davis Street is City of San Leandro, and Ted's Drugs is Hayward. Thank you all, by the way. And in 2010, we established the Legal Controlled Substances site at the Sheriff's Department. DEA law at the time required that it be, the waste be sorted and the controlled substances be separated out and sent for special disposal to witness DEA licensed facility. So we would come up to the Sheriff's Department every couple of weeks when he'd call, and we'd paw through all that stuff and pull out all the Vicodin and all the good stuff and ship it off to the sheriff. That's an interesting room. It's the evidence room, and they have marijuana samples drying in a cabinet, so it has a wonderful odor in them. It wasn't hard to recruit people to come up. Okay. So we decided we would pass an ordinance, a product stewardship ordinance. Actually, in 2010, San Francisco took a shot at it, and it was kind of sidetracked, and they got a funded pilot program out of it. But their ordinance, they made the initial steps with the ordinance. We took their draft, and then it was our turn. Our ordinance covers prescription drugs. One of the reasons behind that is we had a lot of opposition to the ordinance in the beginning when it covered all drugs, and magically at some point non-over-the-counter drugs were pulled out, and some of the opposition disappeared. So I'll let you figure out how that happened. And our ordinance requires the pharmaceutical industry to create or join a product stewardship program. And do the usual things: establish collection sites, collect all unwanted products, educate, support law enforcement. That was put in there because at the time law enforcement were the only ones who can collect controlled substances. They have to file annual reports and pay all the costs and pay our costs to regulate them. And we have an enforcement process. One of the important parts of our ordinance is no point of sale fee could be charged. Now, they're allowed to raise their prices if they need to, but they couldn't put a line item on a receipt that says recycling charge. One of the reasons for that is that if they put that line item on there, we'd have to stick our nose in there and figure out if that's an appropriate fee, and why is that an appropriate fee. We'd have to look at all their costs. We thought this was a much cleaner way of doing it. You figure out what it costs, you build it into the price of your product, just like a good product stewardship model should be, and charge the customer if you have to. We require hauling by a medical or hazardous waste hauler, disposal by incineration, medical or hazardous waste. We're open to new disposal methods, but they have to provide the same or better environmental impact as incineration. Because of new DEA regulations, there are only a few companies that are actually disposing of this, and they all use incineration. So now it has to be a DEA approved system for disposal of controlled substances. So it's incineration for now. But they can, if they find a better disposal method, they can petition to use it. Pharma, as you might expect, objected. Their claims are most drugs come from excretion, which is probably true. And landfill is okay for the environment. There are landfills, some in Alameda County that are dry landfills. The water, the leachate is recycled, and we know some of this stuff gets in the leachate, so we don't know what's happening with that. There are landfills that are wet landfills that truck their leachate out or pipe it out, and it goes to sewage plants, and we know sewage plants do not take most APIs, pharmaceutical ingredients out. They were throwing everything at us. It's a HIPAA violation. HIPAA is the Privacy Act between electronic medical records between healthcare providers and pharmacies. It has nothing to do with us. Difficulty in getting pharmacy partners, that's true. There will be difficulty. They were complaining that we can't compel pharmacies and law enforcement to participate. I think we can get enough of them. And this is the best one. It was unfair to hold the drug manufacturers responsible. It's everybody's problem. So the pharmacies are collecting it, government is helping sponsor this stuff. How is it only they're being held responsible for this? So they responded in another way. In December, they sued us. December 2012, they sued us in federal court. It was a dormant commerce clause issue, which is the principle that if you pass a local law that disadvantages an out-of-state company versus an in-state company, that's a violation of the dormant commerce clause and it's unconstitutional. Ours didn't do that. It treated in-state and out-of-state actors the same. They were trying or they're still trying to bias this towards, we're now forcing out-of-state customers of drug companies to pay for our program, and we don't do that at all. But that's their lawsuit. And by the way, the lawyer who's arguing their lawsuit is the same one that just argued the anti-Obamacare lawsuit earlier this month. So what we did in this lawsuit is all parties agreed to kind of stay the implementation dates of the ordinance until hopefully after there was a decision for the lawsuit, and we went ahead. August 29, 2013, we won, and the judge basically agreed with us. This one, jump back. It's a long story. So we won. The judge said, this doesn't impact interstate commerce. Back to the ordinance. So we moved all the deadlines up. May 1st, 2014, they had to file a product stewardship plan. In the spring of 2014, we were kind of reaching out to various organizations, medical waste haulers, reverse distributors, to see if someone would form a product stewardship organization. Because the big question mark we had when we started this was we had no organized partner at the other end. We had a pharmaceutical marketing company that was, or a marketing group that was opposed to us, but we had no partner. But it turns out in late 2013 they formed the PPSWG, Pharmaceutical Product Stewardship Working Group, to be our partner. There were about 250 members, about 90% of the market by sales. Then they sued us again, or actually they appealed the first decision, so it's still the same lawsuit. We went back to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, 3-judge panel, no new facts. We won. Okay, there's more. Okay, so there's more ordinance stuff. The PPSWG filed for an extension. There was also one producer that has one customer in Alameda County with a boutique drug that actually filed their own plan. They decided to do they decided to do collection nationwide. It's a very small company, and it's not a lot, but instead of just dealing with our ordinance, they're just going to do it for all their customers. And in July 1st, they filed a plan, and we went through several iterations back and forth with them. And that's what success looks like. That's a product stewardship plan. That's a $10,000 check to cover our initial costs for regulating them. King County was sued on the same basis as we were. They have a similar ordinance. So when we won the appeal, King County went ahead in September 2014. King County passed their ordinance, and they now have a product stewardship plan. And about 2 hours ago, San Francisco had the second reading of their product stewardship ordinance. It passed unanimously. So San Francisco now has a product stewardship ordinance. And guess what? They sued us again. So Pharma filed a writ before the Supreme Court to bring this issue up to the Supreme Court. Normally there are about 10,000 of these petitions to the court a year, and about 80 of them get heard. But we've heard that usually, the first way this works is usually they'll dismiss about 80 or 90% of them. And then they ask for more information. So we're to that stage where the Supreme Court has asked our lawyers for more information about our ordinance. So they may or may not take it up, and then, again, it's the same lawyer that argued the Burwell case, which is the anti-Obamacare case. But in the meantime, we have an ordinance. There's no legal authority that's telling us no. So we're starting day one. Actually, day one started a couple weeks ago. There's a 3-year phase-in. We're going to have 12 one-day events and 13 to 20 law enforcement sites in the first year. In year 2 and 3 is a goal of 100 to 110 pharmacy and hospital sites around the county. There's an 800 number. There'll be a website. There'll be a PR campaign. And our first one-day event is in Union City, thank you, Tri-State, if you're out here. We're having an event then, and that's our ordinance in a nutshell so far.
All right, do we have any questions? All right, Dave.
This is off subject, but did you have any apprehensive moments about getting your own household hazardous waste fee, stop waste enacted?
Yes.
Repeat the question, please.
Did we have it? It's off topic. It's about our household hazardous waste fee. We have a $9.55 fee on households to support our household hazardous waste program. It has nothing to do with this ordinance.
Question or comment. In DC, we have a medications program. One of the hurdles in housing is that the pharmacies don't carry narcotics on site. So if you order something, you have to come back the next day and get it. They don't want it on site because it's a great business. And one of the pushbacks was that if they're accepting medications, they accept over the counter as well. And we now have all this barrel of mystery ingredients there. It's not getting picked up immediately. So do you have that kind of pushback? Or
no.
Actually, there are new DEA rules surrounding this, and they require... Oh, there are new DEA rules, smoothing the way for pharmaceutical take-back. Under the old DEA rules, pharmacies couldn't do it, only law enforcement could do it. That no one could knowingly collect controlled substances, so lots of us collect not knowingly collected drugs. Now, the new rules say that you can collect controlled substances at pharmacies, at DEA registrants, people who are registered to dispense controlled substances, and their security requirements. Some of those boxes in the picture, they weigh about 220 pounds, they're bolted to the floor. And they're full of other things. They're full of hard drugs and Viagra and all kinds of other things. So, somebody would have to go through there with a PDR to figure out what the controlled substances are. Right. And also, we're the government, we're staying out of this. This is a product stewardship ordinance. It's their problem to figure that out, not ours. We're just looking over their shoulders to make sure they do it.